Oh, here's the countdown. Good evening, everyone. I am by myself this evening, so I apologize that you have to look at me, and only me. You don't get to see any of our beautiful co-hosts. Some stuff. Frank is busy doing some stuff this evening. Eric is currently driving home from where he was this past week. I'm still here, and Ron is late, so he may show up. He may not show up. I don't know. Anyway, I figured we'd have a little bit of fun and have a chance to talk. I see we got a few people in our chat. I see there's 9 people watching. I need to use some puppets to mimic my cohorts. Well, that would require me developing some puppets. But speaking of puppets, guess who just walked in? My co-host just walked in. This is Eric and Ron. They actually flew to Newfoundland, and they're here with me this evening. They just wanted to here to say hello. And yeah, we have a few things for you this evening. I guess the first thing is, we have a new government here in Canada, I should say. We elected Mark Carney and the Liberals again for another term, so that's pretty exciting. For anybody who has been following our politics, it's been a bit of an up and down sort of momentum over the last little bit. So it's been kind of cool. Trump definitely helped get the Liberals reelected because they were not looking good for a while. So glad that they're back. Looking forward to making Canada strong, which seems to be our new slogan. So as I'm doing this by myself, I guess I will see who's in the chat. Let's see, who do we have? We have JC. So Jesus is here, not just returning after Easter. He's here several weeks later, so that's great. Dave of Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, nice to see you. Thomas Armstrong's here. Hey, Thomas. Francois is here as well. Hey, Francois. One Bit, of course, is here. 386 SX is here. And who else do we have? I thought I saw some other people plop in here. Joe of Joe's Computer Museum is here as well. So yeah, I'm apparently doing. It's weird. That's a weird computer you have behind me. Yeah, it is a very strange computer. This is actually the project I've been working on a lot lately. I'll show it off. This is my 1996 Volkswagen Eurovan, which I'm currently converting into a camper or an RV. It's also getting a full engine rebuild, brand new turbo, brand new injection pump. It's a 1.9 liter turbo diesel, and it's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite cars that I own. So yeah, pretty excited to get it back on the road after a 2 or 3 year hiatus. I don't remember how long it has been since I had it on the road. Last going off when we parked it, it was belching white smoke, and that was either unburnt diesel or coolant. We're not really sure. It could be a mixture of both. But my injection pump was in fact dead. What's the CPU inside? I would imagine it's running the computer from an ALH. Let me just Google that real quick. What CPU is in a VW ECU? Apparently they're just microcontrollers from Bosch and Siemens. So I guess they're bespoke of some sort. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah. Anyway, it it's an encapsulated 6502. Yeah, we'll go with that. 8 bits are all you need. That's all you need to run a diesel. I'm sure Joe would agree. Yeah, so that's exciting. We're going to get it on the road again. Myself and my wife are going to go on a bit of a road trip this summer, see some sights and sounds around my beautiful province. Yeah, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to get it back up and running. But you can see it has an engine in it. Oh no, wrong way. There's an engine in here. And then I also have an engine over here. Why do I always find it hard to point? There's also another extra engine over here on the ground. So yeah, there's a few diesels around here. I'm a bit of when I'm not doing retro computer stuff, I'm a bit of a diesel guy. I love them. So yeah, it's been a very crazy week for me. We just got back from what is uh, known secularly as winter or spring break, but for us it's known as Easter break. We had 2 weeks off, being a good Catholic school that I work at. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of time off, but that first week back, man, it is one long slog. But it's interesting. Easter being so late this year means that coming back, we basically have a month and a half before before school ends and exams start. Good job, Jason. Good job. Uh, did we get anybody else in the chat? I don't think so. I think that's it. Uh, yeah, and I have the link sent out to a few people, so feel free if you want to join. My dad had an #03 Golf TDI. He sold it with 320K on it. He couldn't drive it anymore because he had a stroke. Ah, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear your dad had a stroke, but great cars. I had an '02 TDI Golf that I actually put the front bumper and hood and fenders off a Jetta on it, and we referred to it as the Jolf. And I had it lifted with you can lift them with Jeep springs in the front, and in the rear you use F-150 springs in the back. And I had it lifted with big knobby tires, and I ran that around town for years. I probably can find a picture of it somewhere, but it was my daily driver for a very long time. And I actually, the engine that is in this bus is from that car, and I actually do really miss that car. It was a great, cheap runabout, and it ran on anything. I could literally put used motor oil in it. It was great. I see that Gutbomb has joined us. Hey, Gutbomb, glad to have you here. Yeah, so the only thing I wanted to talk about tonight was I read this really, really interesting article this week, which I'll share in the chat, about a that's weird. It like made my link into two things. Hey, Blue Sky. That's strange. Anyway, it's about this Japanese preservation group that are actually in the process of possibly dissolving due to the fact of how difficult it is to run a nonprofit in Japan, specifically the type of nonprofit they do, where they back up and archive ROMs and floppy disks and video games. But the neat thing, or the interesting thing, is that due to Japanese intellectual property laws, they're not allowed to actually share anything they back up. So they have this great archive that exists solely for the purpose of existing, but not for the purpose of sharing. Yeah, as Gopam says, Japan is very harsh against perceived piracy. It is, and the article explains, which I shared there, explains great detail how they're trying to change the laws. But as anybody who's ever tried to get anything done with any government can attest, they move at glacial paces as opposed to human paces. So it tends to be a bit difficult to get things fixed. They're also in Japan, it's very difficult to run a nonprofit and get help from the outside. So, for example, like they wanted to auction off some of the extra copies of things they had, and they could only use Japan Yahoo auction. They were not allowed to use eBay because eBay is, for whatever reason, I guess is not. They don't have an office in Japan, or there's some rule about using eBay. So they ended up going back or having to use Yahoo Auctions Japan, which obviously limits a lot of people's ability to purchase those things because they have to use a broker then to get it out of Japan, and it adds to the cost. So, but anyway, they have a Patreon, they have a GoFundMe. Their monthly expenses are broken down very, very good in the article. It seems like their costs per month are very low, like under $400 or $500 to actually stay afloat. So I think all they're looking for is some people, 200 or 300 people to donate $1 a month. And that was the other thing. They said they weren't allowed to let the archive leave their wherever they have it stored in Japan. It had to remain in Japan. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting article. I recommend people have a quick read on it. It kind of goes back to the conversation we've had several times about sort of the idea of there needs to be sort of an international ruling on when intellectual property on something ends and when it can be basically public domain, or at least preserved and shared publicly without the fear of it being, taken down or people getting sued. I know that the archive.org has had their share of problems in the last few years, specifically with takedown requests of piracy and being labeled as a den of piracy, especially by some, again, Japanese. Nintendo was very adamant about storing things on archive.org and how it was a violation of their intellectual property, and so it can get pretty tangly. I'd love to have a IP lawyer on someday. I think that'd be a fun discussion to have, to figure out, why certain companies will let things just disappear and not even if it's not making the money, even if they don't have it for sale anymore. There's no way to actually play it on modern systems, but they'd rather let it just die than actually have it out there, in perpetuity, saved for all generations. What is it, Gup, I'm saying? It's back to the chat here. Hey, Retro Gaming with Big Steve. I am doing well. Yes, everybody else is doing well. It seems Frank is at a burlesque show. Apparently, that's more cool than hanging out with us. And okay, I guess I agree. That's probably pretty cool. Ron is, I guess, late, and Eric is currently traveling, so he couldn't join us. So, wishing him safe travels. Yeah, Gup. Hey Ryan, why is there a Chrysler Town and Country behind you? I can't tell if you're making a joke about my Eurovan or the fact that I have wood paneling on the walls of my garage and ceiling, because really both are town and country jokes. That's funny. It would be funny if the ticker tape would show JC, and I could probably make it do that. And you're making a joke about my Eurovan. Yes, it's my Eurovan. Listen, do you know how many computers you can fit in this? Because I know how many computers I can fit in this. We, about 4 years ago now, went to a small community about 4.5 hours from the capital city of Newfoundland, St. John's, and rescued well over 100 computers, and they fit in that van. The van was not very happy about driving with that much weight in it, but get a Previa. What do I want? Reliability, fuel economy, peanut-shaped vehicles. You're a madman. JCM-2. That's funny. And I'm still fighting this stupid cough. I've been 3 months now with this cough. I don't know if it's some form of long COVID or if it's my pneumonia never got fully fixed. Still haven't figured out. Waiting to get an appointment with a doctor. So yeah, what is everybody up to tonight? I'm going to send the link around to a few people, I guess, and if anybody wants to join and hang out with me, I'd be happy to have you here. A couple of projects I'm working on. Well, like I said, I'm working on the van. That's taken up a fair bit of my time. I also did get a new toy. I bought I was having and no, before Trina gets in here and gets excited about me talking about toys, it's not that kind of toy. I ended up really doing some calculations recently that I was spending, for every hour of enjoyment I was spending on my ATV, it was costing me, 2 to 3 hours of repair. And I realized that was, as I think Ron would say, the sunk cost fallacy. So I've put so much money and time into it, I have to make it work. I just kind of need to step away, and I ended up getting myself a new one. So I'm actually very excited. Last weekend was the first weekend we went out on it. This weekend coming, or tomorrow I should say, because this weekend, I'm going out again for a little ATV adventure. Should be a good time. Hey.
See, Ron's here.
Ron's here. We're done.
It's all good. Hi, everybody.
Hello, Joe. I can hear myself, Joe.
How can you hear yourself? It's muted. I'm muted.
I don't know. I can hear myself.
What about now?
Hello. Still can hear myself.
I'll be back.
Joe always has fun times with OBS. There is a very strong yes. There's an echo occurring between my province and Joe's state. It's only about what I would say 3,000 miles, maybe 3,500 miles. Hey, look at Joe icon. I've never seen that Joe icon before. Wow, Joe has so much, happiness and exuberance in that photo. Wonder what happened. Hey, Windows is telling me I need to update. I'm just going to ignore that.
How about now?
Hello? We're good.
Yay!
What'd you do? Restart OBS?
I just restarted OBS.
Yeah. Always the way.
Yeah. I had to reboot the whole computer yesterday or the day before or something for some reason, and yeah.
I still think OBS is like there's witchcraft there because I still haven't figured out how to make audio from my computer go into my OBS without making my audio from my mic also go into my OBS and cause I know there's a tool and I'm sure I can sit down and figure it out, but it shouldn't be gosh darn hard.
Gosh, what's it called? When you're in OBS and you're doing media, you do the virtual audio cable, but when you're in OBS and you want to play back media, you have to set the media to play back but not monitor. That way it doesn't come back out the speakers and echo and echo and echo and echo. And it's all
Thomas says you must not use audio or you must use the audio incantation. Apparently,
yeah, it's called "Don't Use Linux." Anyway, I'm kidding. I love Linux. I'm probably going to be switching to Linux or Mac OS fairly soon.
A very covert Linus Torvald just appears behind you.
Can you tell I was taking a nap earlier?
Your hair's a bit, it's fine. It's fine.
Got a little bit of floof on that side. So,
how was your week?
My week was great. Do you want to hear what went on in Joe's week?
Sure.
A whole bunch of broken, stupid, freaking computers. That's it. That's my week.
Like client computers or your own?
Yeah,
stuff?
it's tickets and like it doesn't work. And the whole thing I complained about several times throughout the week on Discord. I'll complain about it again because it's hilarious. I go to a client site on Monday, talk to a guy, and I tell the guy, hey, I need you to leave your computer logged in and on and unlocked in the whole 9 yards tonight when you leave, because I need to remote into your computer and like thrash the crap out of it for like 2 hours straight to figure out this issue you're having.
Just beat it with a stick.
Yeah. And he responds, and he's like, yes, I will leave the computer on. I recognize and acknowledge your statement and will follow your instructions. I go to remote into the computer later that evening, and it's freaking locked.
Tara says no.
So it's been 4 days now, and he hasn't complained about the fact that his Microsoft Word and Office and Excel and none of that functions.
Just a quick question. Sorry. You have a Tara on this, right? But you don't know his password.
Oh no, I know I can reset the password.
Okay,
that's not.
Go reset the password.
On the domain. I can log into the domain controller and reset
change his password. Okay,
that's not the problem. It's the problem that when I change his password, he's then gonna call me and complain.
Right.
And so I told him, if I can't log into your computer, I'm not doing it.
Fair
so
enough.
He'll figure it out eventually and be like, oh, Joe needs to do the thing. Maybe I should contact Joe and schedule this again. So until that happens, he's going to get this weird credential tenant not found glitch.
It is what it is.
Anyway, no, car stuff. Since you're a car guy, let's talk about car stuff.
Sure.
Bill him for the time. Can't. Flat fee client. Not technically. It's a all-you-can-eat client.
I was going to say subscription-based like I do.
Those are my favorite.
They're awesome.
It's like, hi, give me $3,000 a month. What do we get? Yes.
Yeah. Me, all you need me for. And
you give those to the clients you know
but secretly, I set everything up properly, so you never
exactly. You set it up properly, and you know it's a really low-maintenance client, and it's just like, hi, electricity, thank you for being on. So seriously though, car stuff. So Graham, for the past 3 or 4 weeks, has been really kind of like thinking about getting a new car. And then like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'll go back and say his car's 13 years old. It's an old Civic.
So it's perfect. What you're saying.
Yeah, it had some body rot starting to happen,
That's
and like
perfect.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I don't remember how long it was ago. He's driving home and he's like, "My car went clunk and suddenly got a lot louder. I don't know what's happening." I'm like, "Yeah, your
Exhaust fell
muffler
off.
fell off." And I look under it and split right at the bracket where they hold it together, just split in half. It's like, yeah, I can't band clamp that or get under there and fix it
No,
or
that needs
anything.
a
Like, yeah,
welder or a replacement.
your car's just noisy. And
Yeah.
so we're like, we're getting a new car, and he's going back and forth and trying to figure out what car he wants. And he got it narrowed down to either a Civic, which apparently the 2025 year has not as good ratings as previous years. So
Nope,
he's
they're
kind of
having
like,
engine issues.
yeah. The Honda Accord SE or the Subaru Crosstrek. And he went
I'm
with
not a
the
huge Subaru guy. They've
yeah,
had
yeah.
engine issues since they
They're
were new.
like they in all of the ratings, they get good ratings, but anybody who in the repair side of the industry, they're like,
They're
yeah,
like,
when
no.
they blow up, they blow up.
Yeah, it's what I love.
It's
It's like
just
this
box
JD
rating.
Power and Associates. They get all these medals. Initial quality or
Yeah.
initial reliability. It's like, what the hell is initial reliability? Yes, I
Yeah.
bought a car. I expect it to work the day after I bought it.
Yeah. So anyway, so he went with the Honda Accord SE.
Yeah.
And since because of all of the I'm just going to put this out there, because of all of the wonderful people in the community over the past year and 4 months
Mhm.
have supported me in starting my own home business, working at a home and buying lots and lots of blue SCSIs and keyboard encoders. We got him the one with all the freaking bells and whistles on it.
Ooh.
So it's got lane assist and
Yeah,
like
you got a bit of an e-chub, don't you? Just a little
a
bit
little
more.
bit. It's got like it's got auto drive to some extent. Like if you put it on, and as long as your hands are on the wheel, it'll just keep the lane.
Yeah.
And you just feel it moving the tire. It's got automatic when you put it in cruise control, it's got auto following distance.
Oh, that's
You
nice.
combine those two, and it's basically like auto drive.
Yeah. Except there's still a human there to make the lessons. I'm surprised you didn't go with one of these.
Yeah, no, I saw those. No, thank you.
We'll talk about those later.
Yeah. That needs to be that. No,
I'm excited
refrigerator
for
on
it.
wheels.
I'm excited for it, only if it actually comes to pass.
Yeah,
And it is
I
everything
just
they
heard about
say.
it today.
Yeah.
The
And the
only
big thing
thing I
about it is
heard,
it's like old Henry Ford said. You can have it in any color you want.
Yeah.
As long as it's black.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they're going with the idea of building a car. It's basically like a Fisher Price vehicle. It's made of plastic. It's even more plastic than the Saturns used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is that you can customize yourself. They're going to have 3D print files for all the crap you can click onto it and like customize it with. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be. Why is the name just Tesla shifted over 2 letters? Because it's being backed by Jeff Bezos, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm excited to see it. Only rear-wheel drive though, which is kind of I'm like,
and it's going to be one of the last cars in the market you can get with manual windows,
which I'm excited about because you know what never breaks?
Manual windows.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's funny. We were talking about how like budget conscious vehicles were in the not too distant past. A lot of Hyundai Accents and Kia Fortes, they would often have power windows in the front and manuals in the back. And everybody would think this was like a novelty, but I'd laugh because my 1994 Audi, very visionary at Audi. They're thinking for the poor, they're thinking for the people that, they're buying the bottom of the barrel Audi model, power windows in the front, roll up windows in the back.
It's an Audi. They're all bottom of the barrel. But anyway.
Yeah, go on. So yeah, manual windows definitely do break, but they do not break at the same consistency, we'll say, as
they break when the car gets about 30 years old, and then the entire mechanism is just seized up because rust and dirt.
That's what you want.
That's not called breaking. That's called you got old and died.
Or like the wire break, the little filament wire that rolls the window up, which is technically in both vehicles, but seems to break more in anyway. I guess it's because the motor puts strain on it. What you want, though, is the roll-up window functionality mechanism from the 1980s GM vehicles, because they didn't stop and they would actually cut your fingers off. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. They had no like resistance sensors, so and if you could just but what a lot of people here in my province, and I'm sure it's a common thing in like farm areas and stuff too, they realized that those mechanisms were very strong, so they used them to make plow mounts for their ATVs because they would be able to lift the plow up with the window motors from a GM vehicle.
That's insane.
Yeah, because they were beefy enough.
386 says the major auto parts stores seem to have absolutely no parts for a Toyota. That's because Toyotas don't break, sir.
Well, actually, okay, I'm going to stop you there. A good friend of mine, a good friend of my channels, and my realtor has a 2024 Toyota Highlander, Grand Highlander that was north of 60 grand. It has 40,000 kilometers on it. A knock sensor went on the engine, so it told all the lights, the dash lit up, whatever. He drove it to Toyota, figured, they'll know what to do with it. Anyway, Toyota looked at him and said, it's still safe to drive. You can drive that. The part won't be here for a couple of months. To 2024 with 40,000 kilometers on it. That's like 20,000 miles. And so he basically told them to no, and they gave him a loaner. So he's got a loaner now until the part comes in. But like, if that's a top-end Toyota and it's braking at 40,000 kilometers and it's parts that should be fairly available but aren't, that's terrifying. I can't new stuff, and I think it comes down to the supply chain, and I'm seeing it with like I had a Lenovo tech come this past week to work on a warranty thing, and he said that they did a deployment a few months ago from Lenovo for 500 laptops. They had to replace the logic board due to a fault from a manufacturer for Lenovo in 500 of the laptops. They had to replace the main boards in 500 laptops within like a month. He said they're seeing it all, like he's seeing it every area of the world. It's like they went with they couldn't get the first tier parts suppliers anymore, so they've gone down their list, and now they're getting parts from like the third tier, fourth tier, fifth tier. And now their quality is just completely garbage.
I wonder what the cause of that could be, man.
I don't know. I feel like it's a mixture of supply chain issues still being an issue from COVID. And I think it's just economic decline. Things are shutting down. Like big, powerful companies that were great in 2019 don't exist anymore.
Could be.
Right.
Who knows?
Also, it's a pile of tariffs being added to a pile of stuff, which is probably not helping. Sorry.
We don't talk about that on this channel. Oh, wait.
Sorry.
Hold on. Not my
Wait,
channel.
I'm in Canada. I can talk about it. I was saying at the top of the hour, we have our new prime minister. Well, our new reissued prime minister, because he was our prime minister before the election too. Mr. Carney.
Working on Garth hair today. Here, just kind of there.
There you go. See, what people don't know is the little quaff that Garth has is actually produced by his Bell helicopter. it's the downforce from the rotors when he dismounts the helicopter in the morning. Just that little bit of downforce gives it that little perfect quaff.
Gets that little spin.
Yeah. We have that problem with our parts being fault. Okay, so Thomas Armstrong says, I guess is that a Dell recall? Because he says there was a Dell recall. I don't know. Like I don't know if you've noticed it, Joe, with your Lenovo stuff, but the last 3 or 4 years of Lenovo, they're still decent, but I still have some weird. Like I've had like a lot of the Yogas. I've had 3 or 4 of them that need the motherboards replaced.
That's because you bought a Yoga.
Well, it's a ThinkPad or an X1 Carbon.
That's because you bought an X1 Carbon.
Well, they're like the top of the line executive. Unless I get some
the executives need to learn to get the E16 like the plebs, and then they'll never have a problem.
I will say my T14, the 14-inch just ThinkPad, they seem pretty reliable. As long as it doesn't have a touchscreen or require a pen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wonder if somebody else makes them. I wonder if they're made in a different facility. Speaking of making things in different facilities, I saw that Apple is pushing forward with moving iPhone production to India. So, make India great again?
Yeah, I know, right? Although that said, India really could use some support from some of the more modern first world countries. I put that in air quotes because that helps people understand what I'm saying, but it's not actually true.
Yeah.
As a little bit of an economic counter to some of what China's doing. So I'm not saying China's bad, just that.
The only problem is
Take that
not to get too political. India has been basically the last 100 years being the cannon fodder for the British. I don't think they'll end up. I don't think they want to be the cannon fodder for anything else.
Yeah.
Not to speak on their behalf, of course, but just knowing the history of their country as I do.
Hey, all I can say is India could be both a great trade and defense partner.
Correct.
For the United
for Canada,
States of America,
for
and
Canada.
for Canada.
No, just for Canada. They like us more.
Oh, okay, good. They like you so much that they try to assassinate some of your politicians.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Do you know who those politicians are?
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Correct. That's why I've allowed Vladimir Putin to move into my basement apartment. We're going to have a crazy old, it's going to be a new TV show on WB. It's going to be one of those like odd couple TV shows. I live upstairs. He lives downstairs.
Putin and the Duck. Was what we'll call it.
No, it's Canada. So it'll be Putin and the Goose.
Anyway.
Good times. But yeah, so what other happened? You had a couple of computers break the week. Anything else, man?
Same old stuff. Different. We got a huge chunk of Pico Micro Max in.
Oh, perfect.
We got 30 of them in. Sold all 30 of them in less than 24 hours.
So you have no more Pico Micro Max, is what you're saying?
And then we got 30 more Pico Micro Max in yesterday or the day before, and they just sold out last night or today.
Wow.
I think.
That's awesome.
There might still be a few left. Let's find out. Let's go to this wonderful website, which I can't switch to, right? I can't show you my screen right now because my software, my switcher software isn't working. So,
well, it's just down the bottom of the website. It's in the ticker in the screen.
Yeah.
JCM-1.com.
With Pico, I have 11 in stock still. So if you want a Pico Micromac, get some. Here's what happened: is I had 80 people signed up for the Pico Micromac, but I only was able to put 30 in stock. So I put those in stock and they sold out really fast, but all 80 people got their notification, and they're either the stragglers are either filtering in slowly, or they came back, saw the stock was out, thought it was a false positive, and then just didn't sign up again and didn't get the second notification.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what's going on. But it is what it is. In addition, we also, if you bought a Pico Micromac, and this is the new V3, you bought like the past couple of cycles, you can also pick up one of these little things.
Ooh, that looks like a Gut Bomb exclusive.
This is a Gut Bomb exclusive. It's a little 3D printed case for the Pico Micromac, so you can pick one of those up. I print those here in my shop for you to include. Or if you have a 3D printer, you can there's a link right there on the website where you can just download it. You can just download the 3D printed case and print it yourself.
Nice. I'm not sure if it's public knowledge. 3D print filament. I'm just going to say that. Question mark?
Another thing. So let's go way back to the beginning to anybody who's watching who might not know. So way back in the before times, I had this idea because I was getting into the Mac stuff. I'm going to see if I can find the thingy doodle. Stand by. Where's the thingy doodle? I can't. Anyway, I got this idea that's like, hey, there's got to be some way to get custom colored filament that matches the Macintosh, the classic Mac beige, which is typically called platinum, the platinum styling. And I got a colorimeter, and I did the beep boop with the colorimeter, and then did use some online tools to match that beep boop color to a color standard. Because those are going to be, a color standard is going to be the easiest color to match to. You can be like, I want it Pantone 400 or RAL 7044 or whatever. I found that it is insanely close to, it's not exactly, but it's very, very, very close to RAL 7044. And I found a filament manufacturer that makes RAL 7044 PLA filament, but they're in the Netherlands and they charge a lot of money for their custom filament. After that, our wonderful friend, and that's what this is printed in because it doesn't have to match anything. It just got to look close. Our friend, Macintosh librarian, Miss Kate, found Polyterra, and she got Polyterra to make a fairly close match. And they sell this now. They call it Panchroma Muted White. So you can still get this. The issue with the Panchroma, the upside with this Panchroma is that it's less expensive. It's like $25 to $30 a roll instead of $70 for 3/4 of a roll, basically. So it's much more affordable. The downside is it uses this special, like, they call it matte filament. It's really weird. It prints funky. You can see kind of the corner just fills up. It kind of doesn't stick to the bed correctly. It just does weird things. So the color isn't exactly right. This is a little warm. This is a little bit on the brown side. So I was up at the Southeast Michigan Retro Computing Club meetup a couple weekends ago, and I ran into some friends from the Apple II community. Chris and Nick Auger. They run 8bitdevices.com or whatever it's called. They do really cool stuff. And they're from Michigan, I guess. They're from up in Michigan. And they're like, there is a company up here that makes custom 3D printer filament that if you send them a sample, they will match your sample perfectly. They have specialized tools, more than the off-shelf colorimeter I got. So I'm like, cool. I reached out to them.
But you're telling me you can't just walk in like they do with paint, hand it to a teenager, have him put it in a computer, and then just random colors squirt out into
Unfortunately, with 3D printer filament, no, because they have to formulate it just right. Because when you add the different stuff to the filament, it
changes
mess up the way the filament works. So it's very careful. So anyway, very particular, science stuff. So I contacted this company, and they're like, "Yeah, we can match anything. You send us a thing. It's called Polar Filaments in Troy, Michigan." And I sent. They said, "We'll match anything." There's a $350 color match fee, but it's a one-time match fee. Once we have the design on file, or we have the specs, we can then make that filament. And they had a minimum purchase of something like 25 rolls, but it's 25 rolls at $22 a roll. 22 instead of 79. And so I'm like, yep, I'll just buy it. I will buy 20 rolls or 25 rolls. That is not a problem. I will sell it to my friends at cost so that they can have some to play around with. And when it's done, I authorize you to put this on your website for permanent sale for everyone to the public.
Yep.
It's not my color. It's everyone's color. So hopefully here in about a month, we will have accessible, perfect filament. And for $22 a roll.
And then the next question is Apple II next?
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm trying to think
I have to watch my expenses right now because I just bought a car with cash. So yeah. But once here in a few months, once things get back to normal, we can do that.
Because
does anybody want to buy some filament for $44 a roll? Help me.
Do you have a? You should have it on your website. Sign up for notification.
What's that?
You should have it on the website. Sign up for notification of color match filament.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
So that's gonna be cool.
Any new products besides the filament that you can talk about? Anything coming in down the pipe? Is the Blue Scuzzy finally going to make me a sandwich?
No. That would be really cool.
Did you see the new ISO CD-ROM emulator?
Yeah.
Run on the Pi Pico. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Or you can just use a Blue Scuzzy.
Sure. But assuming I'm assuming like a Windows PC that doesn't have SCSI.
Yeah. It does IDE basically.
Yeah. And there was a lot of people talking about, oh, well, once you get to Windows 98, you can use daemon tools and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, true. But I also like carrying all my ISOs around on I have a Ventoy jump drive, which works pretty good. But sometimes you need an actual CD image. So it'd be kind of cool to have from a tech perspective to have that on there with all my ISOs as well, and just be able to plug it into any machine. And be like, all right, boot Windows XP install, please. Right.
And it's helpful for machines that might have some problems booting to more complex USB boot systems. Like Ventoy
Exactly.
is kind of a UEFI type setup.
Right.
Imagine you're trying to boot some old XP or Windows 2000 machine for some reason. Why you would ever want to do that? It's USB, not IDE. Well, there you go. Yeah. It's USB to boot to, and it
emulates a CD-ROM drive. I guess it emulates CD-ROM drive that's been around for a while.
So use a. Hold on.
You put the ISOs on it, but you put the ISOs on it. It's like a Ventoy.
Allows you to switch the ISOs.
Yeah.
So it's a USB stick that you don't have to use like Balena Etcher or
yeah, and you can switch on the device it's like that thing that they sell on Amazon. Have you seen my buddy has one. It's a little hard drive, and you can literally, it's got a little screen on it, and you put ISOs on it, and you can switch between them to USB boot devices. It's like that, but that thing's like $300. This is like $40.
That seems, I didn't examine it that closely, but that seems to me like a solution in search of a problem.
Potentially.
Because the solution to that problem is this plus Rufus.
Right. But I guess not a USB stick. It uses a PI. Yes, we understand.
Yeah, it's got its own little operating system, its own little, real-time OS on it to allow you to switch those ISO images. So it's really what it is it's Ventoy, but it emulates a direct CD thing. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Would be cooler if it also offered it. Like that's a cool feature, but it should also have an IDE header on it, so that you can, or a SATA header, or both, so that you can just plug it into a internal or external if it's eSATA header. It's cool. I like seeing more projects in our community, so I'm excited to see what it's going to be like in 10 years or 5 years or 2 years. Be very
My question: is it open source, and can I sell it on jcm-1.com?
That I'm not sure of. I didn't see any mention of the open source. I could have been looking at the wrong article. Who had it? It was Phil's Computer Lab.
ESATA. I was going to say East is cool. Well, like Gutbomb, were you talking in a different chat and didn't realize you were in the YouTube chat? But no. ESATA is cool and was around for like 3 months. Yes. Hey, Rudy.
Yeah. Hey, Rudy. Yeah, eSATA was one of those weird things. There was like Gutbomb says, it was probably like a couple of years, but computers would come with an eSATA port. Like we had a bunch of laptops. I remember like maybe Core 2 Duo era, like 2006 to 2000 and I don't know, maybe 10 era. They all had eSATA ports on the side of them. They were usually Toshiba or HP. But yeah, it was a weird standard that unfortunately didn't really make it anywhere, because again, USB was so easy, and it was 3 came out, and then speed wasn't really an issue.
I'm really angry. My software doesn't work. I can't press the button.
What button are you pressing?
I have my touch portal software that connects my. I have a phone down here. You can't really see it. I have a cell phone down here. It's like a Stream Deck, but it just uses a piece of software in my touch screen phone to emulate the same function.
It is in fact open source. So yes.
Cool.
So you could, in theory,
compose Joe IDE CD-ROM emulator for website.
Dear future Joe.
Hey, as I've stated before, I aim to be like kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
For folks for keeping their old computers working. So I just try to find solutions that'll do that. So while you're there, you're on my site. Well, I want to get one thing, but just got this other thing that could be useful for me. So you can get
it's like the people that use Blue SCSI for industrial CNC machines and industrial like there's a lot of people that use it for that. It's just a great application, just not one that anybody ever thought about.
Yeah.
The funny part was it just worked, right? Like there was no mucking around to get it to work. It just functioned, right? They just installed the operating system or cloned it onto an SD card. We have a bit of a discussion about eSATA going on in the chat. I agree. The concept was good. The connector was awful. Anybody who's ever worked on computers, which I'm sure most people have, know the SATA connector is the second nearest fragile thing to an incel Trump supporter. Sorry.
How many SATA cables have you had the back end breakout, had it split in half on the longitudinal axis? Yes.
Yes. How many people have hot glued a SATA cable into position because you just didn't care anymore and you just needed it to work?
My hand's going to be up for a long time.
Yeah, I too dwell in that cave. It is dark and scary and much gnashing of teeth.
I don't know why my software is just...
That's the other thing too. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be like, kids today got it so easy, but like, if you're getting into computers now, man, it's such cool. Like, oh, I want to put a hard drive in my computer. I'll just put this piece of chewing gum shaped thing on my motherboard. Look, 8 terabytes. It's like, I remember when back in my day, I went out and bought a Maxter 20 gigabyte hard drive. Had to install it myself. It was terrible because it was Maxter. Are we still talking about ESAT in the chat?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, a place I used to work for sold setup eSATA drives for clone drives. The connector always stripped out. Always. Yes, I would imagine it did. This week, can I rant about Windows Server 2025?
Oh, please! I want to hear it.
So,
Windows Server, give me all the tea, buddy. Spill it.
More specifically about the licensing around the new Windows Server 2025. So, anybody who's been around IT long enough has definitely touched a Windows Server once or twice, or kicked it once or twice. And they have a purpose, and I use them fairly regularly. I'm not going to complain about Windows Server. It does a job, and it does it mediocrely well, and that's fine with me.
All I gotta say is my Windows servers are the servers that stay up the longest, and I got to reboot my Linux boxes more often.
My Linux boxes that don't have any OS, like GUI, run for years without restarts. So, no, recently, Microsoft apparently, which I didn't realize, to use a Microsoft server in your organization, you have to have what are known as CALs, CALs. They're client access licenses. I think that's what it stands for. So they can be either based on the number of users you have in your organization, or they can be based on the number of devices you have in your organization. But you have to have 1 CAL per device or 1 CAL per user in your organization. When you used to buy Windows Server, they would give you, because it was Microsoft, they'd say, listen, here are 5 CALs included. And so I have several offices that would be perfectly acceptable because they only have 3 or 4 workstations or 3 or 4 employees, and that was perfect. Anyway, Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, decided with Server 2025, they're not doing that anymore. And it doesn't come with any CALs. So now you have to buy them separately. And on top of that, the cheapest I can buy Windows Server 2025 now is $1,200 Canadian, plus another $400 to buy all the CALs I need. And I had to buy, that was not the only thing. That's the 16-core install. But my server has 20 cores. So I had to buy an extra 4-core pack, which was another $400. And because I'm doing an offsite server that's mirrored, I had to buy the entire thing again. Double.
Did you really have to do that, though?
I didn't really have to do it, but
you had to buy the server license, but not the CALs. The CALs are
the CALs, yes, but I did have to buy the cores so I had to buy 2 server CALs, 2 sets of cores, 4 extra cores, and 1 set of CALs.
IO386 says Microsoft needs money. No, what they're trying to do is they're trying very slowly to make it financially infeasible to run an Active Directory setup, to make you to buy their online services, where their profit margin is 4 million %.
An Exchange doesn't exist anymore as of this year. You cannot run an Exchange server. Think about that. How long has Exchange existed? Since the early 90s? And now it's going to be internal to Microsoft only. Nobody else is allowed to have it. Office 365, $3 a month. You'll have it and you'll like it. I gotta be honest. I like 365. I'm not gonna bash it. A lot of my clients, I don't even put Active Directories in their organizations anymore unless they absolutely need it. I'm like, here, log in with your 365 account. Here's Intune for your machine. Leave me alone.
All of my clients that have any sort of, I just call it centralized network system, all have legacy Active Directory domains.
Right.
And I have one who's wanted to switch away and move to Microsoft centralized, but the labor costs to move, they don't want to pay me to do it. So they're like, I guess we're going to keep her old. I'm like, well, you're going to pay me the labor cost to switch to Office to the online setup, or are you going to pay me the money in servers and labor to upgrade your servers that are
until you can't.
Server 2012.
Ooh, that was end of life like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I got to rant about. I'm going to get a rant here. Microsoft is ending server life a lot faster lately. Server 2003, that existed for almost like 15 years.
I wonder why.
why.
Roll back 4 minutes in the stream and listen to me rant.
Well, yeah, I just it's a price you pay. Like, you pay to play. This is what you do. You pay to if you need Microsoft Windows, you pay to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I also noticed. Did you saw the news this week about Microsoft offering a subscription hot patch service, where they hot patch your Windows servers for $1.25 per core per month per server?
Hot patch. What does that mean?
Your entire infrastructure is running, and they just patch it. What could possibly go wrong?
All I can think of is June 21st of last year.
Exactly. When CrowdForce went down. Yeah.
Do you want to hear the dumbest Windows thing ever?
What's that?
I just thought of this. This has nothing to do with, well, it's kind of old world tech, and then that it happened 3 years ago. The company that I used to work for started their downhill decline when the management of the company stopped allowing us to turn on automatic patching for Windows servers. Well, so we had some servers that were like 4 years out of date.
Ooh, and you had to manually do it, or they just didn't want to do it at all?
We weren't allowed to reboot their stuff. It's like, just don't ever touch it. Leave it alone.
Oh, that's
and then a whole bunch of shit got hacked.
What could possibly go wrong?
A whole bunch of stuff got hacked.
Yeah. Well, it's like these servers that I'm putting in.
I patch my stuff.
Yeah, they're going to remote site. So the remote site will be a backup, and the main site will be the server. But the server itself is only going to talk to the remote site through a VPN tunnel. Yeah. And yes, it's going to be the firewall is going to be allow none or deny everything, allow only from this IP.
From this IP on this port.
On this port, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And that is how you make a Windows server secure.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the real way you make a Windows server secure is you unplug the power out of the back. Just.
But like, I was talking to my business partner, or my former business partner, the other day, and we were talking about how, like, we know some techs in my area, and I'm sure you know some techs too where you were, that are old school, and I don't know if it's like a gravy train thing or if it's like but they keep running in-house Exchange servers for clients.
We stopped.
Like, it's 2025. Who the hell does that? Right, like if you're running a mail server this time, you are literally being, what's the word? Assaulted for money.
There's absolutely no reason to do that. Office, even if all you use Office 365 for is for mail. Yeah. The cost per license for Office 365, right? It's Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
Is it way, even for like a huge organization, is way lower than the maintenance and licensing and hardware costs of a box.
Yep. And then like just even like, I remember back in the day having to manage a bunch of Exchange servers in offices, is like fixing spam issues back then was a nightmare. I can only imagine how terrible it is now. Not to mention, unless you have a good dedicated internet connection that has a static IP that you're probably paying extra for, like, Yes, David Starbucks says information highway robbery. I agree. I agree.
How is my Chrome browser connecting to an IP address that does not exist on my network?
China.
No, it's trying to connect to a 192.168.1 network, and that's not a subnet that exists on my network.
Also, point of note. Oh, where did that go? I lost it. There was an article I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so I'm excited. This project I'm very excited about. This is a new client
Yes.
that I've been talking to, and I'm excited. Hopefully they're game to do it. But yeah, it's like just I couldn't get over the licensing costs. Right? It was just terrible, absolutely terrible. And I get it. I understand they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to move to a subscription. Because I remember how much did Office ramp up in price last going off before 365 came out?
I don't remember.
Like I remember Office being like $200 to $300, every time you had to buy it. The professional.
I remember when it was $179 a seat.
Yeah, and that was for the professional version.
It's like $300, $400 something.
Yeah, it's doubled at least, if not tripled.
And this is not inflation. This is just give us money.
We don't want this.
We want you to buy this other active managed product instead that will randomly crash and break, like this one client who forgot to leave his computer unlocked so I could remote in and fix it. I ran out
of air. Two old white guys complain about IT.
My hair's not gray. Shut up.
I have none. Mine's in a box.
Mine's in a box. So it's the nice crafted box that you use to hold your toupee. Is that what you mean?
No, it's this little nice cigar box.
Anyway.
But yeah, the IT being in IT is really interesting. I do enjoy it. You get some weird oddball things from time to time. You end up dealing with some things that seem weird, maybe a bit sketchy. I don't know. Have you ever had any like, oh my God moments? What am I doing in IT?
You're going to have to be more specific because that kind of sounds like a daily occurrence.
Yeah, fair enough. I just remember like I've worked on some criminal cases in the past where I was like the defense's subject matter expert, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting. I single-handed, or myself and my business partner at the time, kind of pointed out a flaw in our provincial policing's forensic steps they were doing. The case got thrown out of court.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So like that was like, I was like, oh my God, if anybody actually from the news found out about this, this would be terrible.
The closest to that that I had to do, there was one time where an employee at a municipality was engaged in behavior that was of a criminal nature. And I had to do an entire dump of that entire municipality's email system and provide it to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Nice. That was fun.
So how did you give them an email dump? Did you just like a PST file?
This municipality was using, I have to be careful
Lotus
what
1,
I say
2, 3.
it can be used to identify the municipality, but this municipality was using a system, and they had a policy in place that I enacted that kept and a very substantial period of time of email of storage.
Okay.
And the city, the municipality paid extra to have that service.
Okay, cool.
And so I just logged into the back end of that service, and I'm like, dump all. It's like, yeah, here's your 2.6 terabyte dump of this municipality's email.
It'll be shipped to you by FedEx on a nice disc. You should get it in a couple of days.
Yeah. There was another time where I had to give an entire VHD file of a server to the FBI.
Okay. That's cool.
That didn't go anywhere, but
still
they've got a copy of the box.
Yeah. I've like you get day-to-day stuff. Like today I had a client reach out to me. They had a purse stolen during a live mass. Actually, it was during the middle of a Catholic mass. Somebody went behind the altar and stole a purse. So I had to like pull the video footage. I know it's like they're getting brave. They're getting very brave here, like for when it comes to the crackies stealing stuff.
Because not only is the government going to be angry at you, God will be too.
Well, I mean, he's busy dealing with genocides and Jeff Bezos money. He's got to figure out what. Because apparently, I heard through the grapevine. I don't know if this is correct. Is Jeff Bezos divesting himself of a bunch of Amazon stuff and giving a bunch away? I saw a report.
Maybe he needs liquid cash for some other thing he's going to.
Man, maybe there's something coming up that he just needs a large pile of cash, and by cash I mean gold.
And by gold I mean gold will survive any economic collapse.
Toilet paper and shotgun shells, which conveniently he can have delivered by Amazon. It's called vertical integration, right? Vertical integration.
Yes, vertical integration. Yes. Speaking of vertical integration, is there anybody in Canada who wants to build all of my product for me and then ship it directly to my clients?
Looking at Rudy.
In order to avoid tariffs?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just thought of this randomly. It's like, maybe I should outsource the manufacturing of all of that product to countries that don't have the whatever.
Well, I'm wondering, could we do like, a cannonball run where we like make them all in Canada and then fill them in a van and then like
just drive over the border with them?
Yeah.
That
What's
would
in the back of that van? Nothing, sir. Nothing at all.
That would probably not be a good idea. Yeah. Not a good idea.
Sloopy says you can ask Ken.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, seriously, I was just thinking, because like the next time I have to import stuff, just for reference, a product that used to cost $10 and it will now cost me $25.
So question, could you not have a holding? I'm sure China offers it. A holding distributor that will ship on your behalf to other countries besides the United States. Like it's assembled product, it's already done.
Potentially.
Right? And then you just have them ship it to Canada, which then there would be no tariffs, no taxes. You take the money. Yeah.
The
only problem there is quality control, I guess, would be a bit harder.
And a lot of the stuff that we do has firmware. So they're going to have to manually load the firmware onto the whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the issue of teaching somebody who does not speak my language how to do things on a technical level. And the two of us are going to be like, no.
Yeah. And the other option is having the end user try to load firmware, and that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah. And one of the things I had considered was having enough separately manufactured components shipped to a friend in Canada or some other country that has a much lower tariff level than China, than we have with China right now, and have them. Why is that talking to that box?
China.
Sorry, no, it's not. It's all legit IP addresses. It's just weird stuff. I'm watching my network activity because I'm trying to fix this touch panel. Anyway, sorry. ADHD, distracted. So have all the stuff shipped from China to another country,
right?
And then have those things assembled in that country, so that a significant physical rework was required. Right. Then have those shipped into the United States,
because then it's a product of Canada, not Correct. Or it's it's a product of Canada, not a product made in Canada. No, there's two different distinguishing. Yeah.
Apparently, the U.S. government, the Customs and Border Protection, are just randomly applying the Chinese tariff to stuff coming from other countries if they think you did that.
Interesting.
They're like, oh no, this all came from China. We don't care. It's like, oh, this car that you assembled in Canada, made from 85% Chinese parts. Yeah, that has the Chinese tariff on it.
Yeah. The fact that your country does not understand this is the largest tax cash grab against them boggles my mind. Like,
I could go into a 15-minute explanation, but it's shouting into the void.
basically, it all comes down to education and the lack thereof.
Basically, yeah. Somebody realized somewhere around the beginning of the Reagan administration that keeping the population stupid allows the population to be controlled.
Yes.
And they found a way to do this without being communists.
Right.
It's called being fascists.
Yes. Same bird, different wing.
And it's been slowly rolling toward that direction for the past 45 years.
Well, just so you're all aware, we have a new Liberal government here in Canada. And
yay! Can I move there?
Old World Politics Friday. Yeah, well, that's the thing. So, we are actually in a dire need of people, specifically trained technical people, doctors, lawyers, nurses, technicians,
computer technicians,
construction
Active
people,
Directory experts,
right? Like, we need a lot of that. So when you joke about coming to Canada, like, no, like, seriously, like, we are probably going to make it very easy for professionals who want to, leave certain areas to
jump a border. Yep.
Yeah, to come to Canada, and I would definitely sponsor you if you want to come. You put my name down.
Can you sponsor me while I live in Toronto, though? Because I'm not moving to freaking.
No, yeah, you got to live. Actually, I'm not sure how that works. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I know that you have to have a sponsor, or you can't have.
I love you, Ryan, but I need access to Chipotle. Thank you.
What did we get here this week? We got a new restaurant. It's McDonald's.
McDowell's.
Golden
Arcs.
Just one arch. It's a unibrow. The golden unibrow.
The golden unibrow. Frida Kahlo's fried chips. Sorry.
Joe can
live with Frida. No.
Oh God.
No.
that show will come on after my Putin Lives in the Basement show on the WP. Yes, we definitely did have one of the massive brain drains in history, and that's, I think, one of the things that Mark Carney alluded to today in his or the other day in his speech, talking about how if there are Canadians that have lived away for many years, this would be an opportune time for them to return home and help us build a better Canada. So, going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm hopefully optimistic. There are obviously some things that I
Rudy, thank you.
I can sponsor you, Joe, and you can live in Toronto. There you go. What Rudy doesn't tell you is you'll be building all his stuff in his basement.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Chained to a desk. Sorry. But if you did move here, you know what that you could do then? You could buy jcm-1.ca.
I can buy that now.
I know you can.
I just haven't because I'm not up there
yet. But yeah, it's a very interesting time. I'm like I said, I'm hopeful and optimistic about it all. I know Mark is meeting with your Cheeto on Tuesday in person. I'm excited to see if he tries to pull the same stuff that he did with Zelensky, because I don't think I was like, I really want to see one of them throw a punch.
Diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity. Right.
You just punched the president of the United States, and I do it again too. I would do it again.
All just covered in like self tanner. He just punches him and it just bounces off his face.
That guy from Canada, he hit me. He was very rude. It's very rude.
And then Mark just gets on. He's like, well, he told him elbows up. I don't know what part of that he didn't understand.
Yeah. He comes back with the tanner right here.
Right on his elbow. Good times.
Anyway, sorry. This technically is in reference to tech, because it's in reference to the BS that is making that is actually hurting this small business here.
Yeah, and making our hobby very expensive.
Yes.
Right. I mean, they were saying that you guys won't really feel the hit of the tariffs until basically now. Like when they implement them now, it's going to start feeling more and more, and as time passes, stuff will start disappearing from shelves, and so
Get way sleepy. Yeah. Mr. Hanky, he's the president. Anyway, so yeah.
Like, have you noticed like any decrease in anything in your like grocery stores yet, or any of that kind of stuff? Like we've
Things
noticed
that
it.
were affected by right now, only things that were affected by actual supply chain problems. The big thing here was eggs, and that was because of bird flu. A lot of folks were like, "Oh, it's because of this." No, it's because of bird flu and because of processes we had to do to try to stop the spread.
Yeah.
So
No,
there just weren't as many chickens to poop out
Biden's
eggs.
fault.
So
it was all Biden's fault.
Yeah, and it's all Biden's fault that he was trying to prevent, global, worldwide bird death.
Flu.
You know.
Yeah. I know about you. I like crows, and I don't want to see them die. So let's not eat eggs for.
I like my omelets. Thank you very much. So.
A very low crow just flew over my house. No, it was an airplane. You ever like actually get close to a crow? They're very beautiful creatures.
Mm-hmm. They're very intelligent,
and they're very smart.
There's stories about crows adopting neighborhoods.
Yeah,
and when weird people come into the neighborhood, the crows of that neighborhood will start like making a ruckus to let people know that somebody who's not supposed to be around is around.
Yeah, making noise.
They're very intelligent.
Yeah. They're actually the original neighborhood watch. It was crows, then it was Nan in the window, with
Nan in the window.
Nan and the Crows team up. Now there's another show for the WB. Nan and the Crows.
Nan and the Crows. And the reason that crows were the original neighborhood watch is because birds aren't real and they're all CIA fucking drones.
Correct. It's all with.
Anyway,
I love that.
Moving on.
If you haven't watched that documentary though about the kid who started The Birds Aren't Real and paid for his university through merch sales to crazy people, it was awesome. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was a busy, crazy week. Like I said, it was first getting back to school, so lots of stuff was broken. Obviously, when I went in, not a whole lot, but just a few things. Yeah, I'm hopefully optimistic for the future. Joe is going to move to Canada, so there's been a lot unpacked in this episode. What's Colin saying? Crows remember the friends and their enemies and somehow communicate to all their friends. Yeah, my father-in-law used to feed, or still does feed, the crows at his office, and they will they know when to come, what time of day to actually get fed. They're very, very, very intelligent. And Joe, that doesn't belong there.
I, however, am not very intelligent, and I'm putting weird things up my nose.
You'll be like Homer Simpson, and he jams the crayon up his nose and he gets stupid. Crows use Wi-Fi. No, crows are Wi-Fi because Wi-Fi is not real either.
Me not read good? That's impossible.
Possible.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
I'm Super Nintendo Chalmers. Sorry, Ralph Wiggum is my spirit animal. Anyway.
No, you want to make sure you get the undercoating on these things or they rust up. Oh, Gil, you're not supposed to tell them that until you get the sale. Close the sale.
Close the sale.
Good times. Well, it's been about an hour and 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 30 minutes and 1 second, 30 minutes and 2 seconds. I got about everything I want to talk about. I don't know is there anything else you want to talk? Is there anything you want to show anybody? Do you got anything to show and tell? Did you get anything this week?
The only cool thing I got is something everybody already knows about, but I haven't gotten to yet. And it's a box of stuff from you with a custom wired up Chem 1 or Sim 1 computer. So,
oh, right. It's still there in a box.
It's right there over my shoulder, just waiting for me to get to it. I've gotten through a lot of my backlog, so
what you want to do is just take it and put it on top of the Lisa and put a lovely film of barn dust on the top of it, and in 20 years, somebody will actually do something. Yeah, that one. Are you doing anything with it? Does it work yet?
With the Lisa?
Yeah.
It has two small problems. One, the video doesn't come out on the screen for reasons I don't know. And two, one of the RAM cards may or may not be faulty.
Okay.
But as I was diagnosing the RAM card problem, the screen stopped working. So
sounds like you had yourself a real Adrian Black moment there.
Sure.
Well, as everybody knows, Adrian Black is Joe if you bought him on Temu. That's what I tell everybody.
So I'm the Timu version of Adrian Black. Is what you're saying?
No. Adrian is the Timu version of Joe.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think you should like switch roles someday, like, and see if anybody notices.
We should just like cross post on each other's.
Yeah.
I'll do my style video. He does his style video.
Yeah.
And we just put it on like on the neighbor.
Yeah, 100%. But don't explain it, and you just show up in his lab coat. Who the hell's this?
Rudy, I am sorry about you having to pay those duties on your product.
Wow.
Welcome to
reciprocal tariffs where nobody wins except the government.
Yep.
Duties, tariffs. Oh my, I need that on a shirt.
He said duty.
Good times. Anyway. All right, well, I'm going to turn the show down. It's been a lovely time having a chat with you, Joe, as always. Everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hitting that like button and doing the thing with the thing on the thing.
Hit the like or I'll be mad at you. I won't like you anymore. Do it.
You don't want an angry Joe. That's just terrifying. It's like a what was that creature? Not a wombat. It's a badger, a honey badger. Joe's like a honey badger when he's mad.
I just look at you like this.
He goes for the throat. He's just like, ah.
I start with a disappointed stare, and then we go from there.
So you're a Catholic mother?
Sure.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out. If you won't feel like sharing this, share it. If you don't. And I guess I'll end with one of my favorite quotes, which is, ladies and gentlemen, take my advice, pull down your pants, and slide on the ice.